In the early hours of March 25, 1990, the New York Fire Department responded to a call about a building fire. More than 150 firefighters would respond to the horrific blaze, which would become one of the deadliest cases of arson in U.S. history. As investigators looked deeper into the cause of the massive blaze, they would soon uncover a story of negligence, revenge, and at the center of it all, a man named Julio Gonzalez.
A dawn of death. A suspicious fire races through the packed Happy Land Social Club in the Bronx, killing 87 people, the worst in New York in 79 years.
Julio Gonzalez was born on October 10, 1954, in Cuba. His early life was difficult because he grew up in a nation that experienced political unrest and economic hardship. During the 1970s, he served 3 years in prison for desertion from the Cuban army. The experience left a significant mark, adding to the layers of complexity to his character. Following his release, he seized an opportunity to flee the country and immigrate to the United States during the Mario boat lift, a mass emigration of Cubans between April 15th and October 31st, 1980. This journey was perilous and marked by uncertainty, but for many, it represented a beacon of hope. After traveling across the Midwest, Julio finally settled in New York City, a melting pot of cultures and opportunities. There, he found employment at a lamp factory in Queens, a job that would provide him with a semblance of stability while living in a new foreign land. By March 1990, however, his life had taken another downturn. He had lost his job at the lamp factory and was running low on cash. He was 2 weeks late on rent for his boarding house room, a situation that could lead to eviction. His girlfriend of 7 years, Lydia Feliciano, who was also a Cuban refugee, had ended their relationship 6 weeks earlier. In the early hours of March 25, 1990, Julio made a desperate decision. He made his way down to the Happy Land Social Club, where his ex-girlfriend Lydia worked as a coat check attendant. The Happy Land Social Club, located in the Bronx, was an unlicensed nightclub that had become a popular spot for the local community. Just 16 months prior, the club owner, Elias Collin, had received an order from the New York Fire Department to close due to numerous violations, including having only one operational door and window and lacking essential safety measures like fire alarms, sprinklers, and fire exits. Despite the order, the club continued operating, putting its patrons at risk. Around 3 a.m., Julio entered the crowded nightclub, which at the time was filled with nearly 100 people, mostly young Hondurans celebrating Carnival. The atmosphere was festive, with music, dancing, and laughter filling the air. Upon spotting Lydia, Julio's drunken pleas were ignored. Lydia had made it very clear she wanted nothing more to do with him, causing a scene in the process. The bouncers ejected Julio from the club as he threatened to shut the place down and vowed to soon return. Lydia, concerned about Julio's threats, attempted to warn others, but the noise and chaos of the nightclub drowned out her warnings. Julio walked 3 blocks down to a nearby Amoco gas station. He purchased a plastic gasoline container and $1 worth of gasoline. Determined to make good on his threat, he returned to the Happy Land Social Club at approximately 3:30 a.m. With calculated malice, he spread the fuel on the second-floor staircase and ignited it, setting off a chain of events that would lead to tragedy.
A scene that would move anybody.
It's hard to come and know that there are so many people that have died.
Well, it's happening. I guess I'm just gonna have to cope with it.
I've never seen anything like this. Never seen anything that could compare to this.
The devastating fire quickly consumed the club, claiming the lives of 87 individuals. 19 were found downstairs, trying to escape, while the rest were trapped upstairs. Desperate attempts to escape included efforts to break through walls, but the rapid spread of the fire and the toxic smoke made it nearly impossible. Asphyxiation and trampling were the primary causes of death, as the club quickly filled with toxic smoke. Some victims were discovered still holding their drinks, a haunting reminder of the night's abrupt turn from celebration to catastrophe.
It was laid out roughly like this. A public staircase at the rear is where most patrons climbed up to the dance floor. A wall cut the room roughly in half. A bar ran along the right wall. In the front, near the DJ's booth, there was a second steep staircase, almost like a stepladder. That's probably how the DJ managed to get to the street through the flames. But the fire spread so fast, the rest of the people had no real chance for survival. The oxygen must have vanished in seconds.
Initial reports indicated only 3 survivors, but later updates revealed 5 or 6, including the club owner's wife and disc jockey Ruben Valadares.
For EMS workers and firefighters, the images keep on burning long after the fire's been put out. The man who died reaching for a fire extinguisher, the stairway lined with bodies that led to a landing with even more, and the second-floor doorway was choked with victims, people who died as they ran for their lives.
Lydia Feliciano, the sole target of Julio's actions, miraculously survived, but the emotional scars would last a lifetime.
As quickly as possible, the identification of the possible relatives.
An emotional crowd packed the front of the school. At one point, a woman was overcome by the stress and fainted. Finally, family members were allowed to go inside and view the photos, learning for themselves what happened. Heart-rending scenes followed as people grieved, some silently, others in emotional outbursts. This young man lost his father. Kelly Mena lost his only brother.
I can't take it. I can't take it. It's my only brother. My only brother. I don't know what I'm gonna do now.
Julio watched as the chaos unfolded from outside the club, observing the horror he had caused. He later took a bus home, where he undressed and fell asleep, perhaps trying to escape the reality of his actions. He was arrested the following day after police learned of his altercation with Feliciano. In custody, Julio confessed to starting the fire, leading him to facing 174 counts of murder and receiving 25 years to life for each count. Despite an insanity defense, the jury still found him guilty on all counts. Although eligible for parole in March of 2015, he declined it, perhaps recognizing the gravity of his crimes. Julio passed away from a heart attack in November 2016, his life ending in the same chaotic manner in which it had been lived.
As community members offered prayers tonight, Juan Colon remembered his only son, 18-year-old Juan Carlos. A promising photographer who had won several video awards, Colon Jr. had come to the club to research a documentary on Honduran immigrants.
But I feel hungry. I feel sad to see how miserable people think about just.
The Happy Land fire remains one of the deadliest nightclub fires in U.S. history, drawing significant attention to the fire safety regulations in nightclubs and other crowded venues. It was a pivotal moment that led to stricter enforcement of fire safety codes aimed at preventing such tragedies in the future. Years later, survivors, families, and locals continued to commemorate the anniversary of the tragedy, finding solace in each other's company at the memorial. The memory of that night serves as a sober reminder of the importance of safety and the devastating impact of unchecked anger and desperation.